Welcome back to Rugby Rundown, everyone. We're thrilled to have you joining us for what promises to be an in-depth look at a truly fascinating rugby series.
Absolutely, Gavin. Today we're dissecting the high-stakes tactical chess match that has unfolded during the 2025 British and Irish Lions Tour of Australia. It's been a compelling duel between Wallabies coach Joe Schmidt and his former protégé, Lions coach Andy Farrell.
Over the course of this grueling tour, we've witnessed a strategic narrative defined by intelligence gathering, reactive adaptation, and ultimately the brutal realities of test match rugby. Let's get into it! Adrian, the Lions arrived in Australia with an aura of invincibility, didn't they? 5 tour matches on Australian soil, and they were unbeaten, clinching comprehensive, high-scoring victories over Super Rugby franchises. We're talking 5-4-7 against the Western Force and a dominant 5-2-12 over the Queensland Reds. It created this perception that they were not just winning, but doing so with immense authority.
Absolutely, Gavin. They looked like a well-oiled machine from the get-go. Andy Farrell had clearly done a superb job blending that renowned attacking flair from his Irish contingent with the traditional forward grit and pragmatism we expect from the English and Welsh players. This created a truly balanced and potent force, capable of scoring from anywhere on the park, whether through brute forward power or sharp backline movements.
And Joe Schmidt, someone intimately familiar with Farrell's Irish systems, keenly observed this. He astutely described the Lions as both predictable and powerful, highlighting a game plan built on generating pace, plenty of phases, and plenty of options. This really set the stage for the Wallabies, establishing their primary strategic problem. How do you devise a plan to counter a team that appears to possess superior cohesion, momentum, and raw power across the park?
Indeed, it wasn't just about competing. It was about finding a chink in the armor of a side that was quickly looking like one of the most formidable Lions outfits to ever tour Australia. That was the initial daunting challenge facing Schmidt and his coaching staff.
But Adrian, despite that early momentum, 2 crucial tour matches actually provided Joe Schmidt with the tactical blueprints he desperately needed. The Lions' 36-24 win over a weakened Brumbies side offered the first crack, as the Brumbies refused to be intimidated and directly attacked them at the breakdown.
And it was telling. Former Lions like Dan Biggar quickly flagged it as a major concern. The Lions conceded a staggering 6 penalties at the breakdown against the Brumbies, along with 3 breakdown steals. It exposed a systemic issue with their risk-reward balance at the ruck, crucial intelligence for Schmidt.
Then came the midweek clash against the First Nations and Pacifica 15. While the Lions won narrowly, they were pushed to their limit by a team playing with ferocious, unrelenting aggression, delivering big hits and immense line speed that clearly unsettled the tourists.
Wallabies captain Harry Wilson explicitly called it a great blueprint on how to physically dominate them. It reinforced that the Lions, despite their cohesion, could look clunky when faced with genuine confrontational resistance. The combined lesson for Schmidt was clear: technical excellence at the breakdown, coupled with relentless, controlled aggression.
And those lessons from the tour matches became starkly relevant in the first test at Suncorp Stadium, didn't they, Adrian? It was a brutal reality check for the Wallabies.
Absolutely, Gavin. That 27-19 scoreline honestly flattered a Wallabies side that was thoroughly outplayed for much of the game. They were comprehensively outmuscled by that hardened Lions pack, particularly in the opening minutes and right after halftime.
It allowed the Lions to race to a 24-5 lead early in the second half, effectively putting the game out of reach. It wasn't just a loss, it was a physical humbling.
Exactly. And the analysis pointed to significant tactical failings too. A passive defensive system with a complete lack of line speed, giving the Lions all the initiative. On attack, it was predictable, one-out carries that just went nowhere. The absence of heavy hitters like Will Skelton and Rob Valentini was keenly felt. This defeat demanded a radical response from Schmidt.
And what a response it was, Adrian. Facing a 1-0 series deficit and the very real prospect of a historic defeat on home soil, Joe Schmidt made his decisive and truly audacious move for the second test in Melbourne.
He certainly did, Gavin. Schmidt recalled his biggest body and its most destructive ball carrier by selecting the fit-again Will Skelton and Rob Valentini to start in the forward pack. This was a clear message. He later confirmed that they had no intention of being submissive again.
You could feel the intent. Skelton, at over 200 centimeters and 135 kilos, brought not just immense size, but a calm influence and European experience. Valentini, widely regarded as Australia's best player, was there to deliver raw aggression and elite ball carrying. These weren't just personnel changes, they were a complete philosophical shift.
And it wasn't just the starting lineup. Schmidt took a massive tactical gamble on the bench too, opting for a 6-2 forwards-to-back split. That's a high-risk, high-reward strategy, deliberately sacrificing backline cover to ensure they could maintain forward power for the full 80 minutes. It screamed fight fire with fire.
And what a gamble it was, Adrian, but it paid off spectacularly in that first half at the MCG. From the opening kickoff, the Wallabies played with a bellicose intensity that was simply non-existent in Brisbane. They immediately seized the physical initiative.
Absolutely, Gavin. The impact of Skelton and Valentini was immediate and profound. Valentini had 2 huge early carries that set the tone, while Skelton was a constant nuisance at the breakdown, disrupting everything the Lions tried to do. It was exactly what Schmidt had envisioned.
With that newfound forward dominance, the Wallabies were getting front foot ball, and it allowed them to play with so much more width and tempo than we saw in the first test. Even the territorial battle turned, highlighted by Tom Wright's sensational 50-22 kick that pinned the Lions deep. And the points started flowing. 3 first-half tries through James Slipper, Jake Gordon, and Tom Wright. It was an attacking blitz that culminated in a commanding 23-5 lead after just 30 minutes. For the first time in the series, it was the Lions who looked rattled and disjointed. It truly transformed the dynamic of the contest. What an incredible first half it was, Adrian. A truly dominant display. But then the high-wire act started to falter, didn't it? Schmidt's gamble on the fitness of Skelton and Valentini was brutally exposed in the second half.
It certainly was, Gavin. Rob Valentini, who had been an absolute powerhouse, was substituted at halftime, and Skelton, the physical disruptor, left the field after only 47 minutes. Schmidt later confirmed Valentini's early exit was due to him tightening up, a clear sign of his lack of recent game time.
And their departure created this massive power vacuum. Almost immediately, the Wallabies lost the ability to combat the Lions at the point of contact. Ball carriers who were breaking the gain line in the first half suddenly started going backward. The replacements, while valiant, just couldn't replicate that sheer physical impact, and the entire foundation of the Wallabies' game plan crumbled.
In stark contrast, the Lions bench provided a powerful injection of energy and experience. The introduction of front rowers, like Ellis Genge and Will Stewart in particular, completely transformed their scrum, winning crucial penalties. And the carrying of their replacements, including James Ryan, proved immensely damaging to a tiring Wallabies defense. That difference in bench impact truly highlighted the chasm in squad depth.
And it wasn't just physical fatigue. As the tide turned, the Wallabies' mental composure began to fray, leading to critical errors in game management. Remember those 2 quick tries they conceded late in the first half despite holding an 18-point lead? A spilled high ball from Tom Linnah and an unnecessary attacking penalty from Joseph Swally gifted the Lions crucial momentum.
Exactly. That pattern of poor decision-making continued. With a slender 26-24 lead in the final quarter, they kept going backward in attack instead of clearing their lines. A terrible forward pass from Jake Gordon blew prime field position. Each error just released the pressure they had so brilliantly built, handing the initiative back to a Lions side that was growing in confidence.
And then, Adrian, it all came down to a single contentious moment in the dying seconds, didn't it? The 2025 Lions series ultimately decided by a TMO review in the 79th minute, right before Hugo Keenan's series-winning try.
Absolutely, Gavin. Wallabies coach Joe Schmidt was incensed after the match, adamant that the on-field decision to award the try was incorrect. He repeatedly cited Law 920 regarding dangerous play and contact above the shoulders, arguing that Jack Morgan's clear-out on Carlo Tizzano lacked a legal bind. Schmidt passionately felt it flew in the face of World Rugby's player safety push.
And you can understand his frustration, especially in such a high-stakes moment. But there was a strong counter-argument, wasn't there? The Lions, the referee Andrea Piardi, and many neutral pundits pointed to Tizzano's body position, entering the ruck with his head impossibly low. This made some neck or shoulder contact almost unavoidable for a player legally trying to remove him.
Exactly. The referee's official explanation was that both players arrived at the same time, making the contact a legitimate part of the contest. While that decision will be debated for years, the broader tactical conclusion is key here, Gavin. By that stage of the game, the Wallabies had already lost control of their own destiny.
That's the crucial takeaway. That vulnerability wasn't created by the referee's decision in isolation. It was born from the physical fade, the bench's inability to maintain momentum, and those critical errors in game management that had allowed the Lions to claw their way back into a match that, frankly, should have been beyond their reach.
So, Gavin, looking ahead to the final test in Sydney, the Wallabies are certainly walking wounded after that brutal encounter at the MCG. The 6-2 bench split, while audacious, was exposed when Harry Potter went off with a hamstring injury, forcing Tate McDermott to play 60 minutes out of position on the wing.
And it's not just the back line, Adrian. The forward pack, which was so central to their power game, has taken a huge hit. Alan Alatoa is out with a shoulder injury, and Carlo Tizzano has neck soreness after that controversial final play. But perhaps the biggest concern, the one that truly matters, is Rob Valentini's tightness, which casts a huge shadow over his availability for this crucial third test.
Absolutely. These injuries force Schmidt to dig even deeper into his squad. But here's the fascinating part. Despite the heartbreaking loss, Schmidt came out of the second test feeling incredibly proud of his team. There's no indication he's abandoning this power-based blueprint for Sydney.
That's the mandate now, isn't it? Melbourne, despite the result, has given them a clear identity. The challenge shifts from strategy to execution and endurance. For the third test, it's about refining, not revolutionizing. First up, sustainability. Can they extend that physical dominance from 40 or 50 minutes to 60 or 70? That's all on Skelton and Valentini if he's fit, and the bench impact.
And critically, Gavin, smarter energy expenditure. No more overplaying deep in their own half. We need to see more tactical kicking to exit, control the tempo, and conserve energy for that vital final quarter. They've also got to be more clinical. They created so many opportunities in Melbourne but coughed up too many errors. Converting pressure into points ruthlessly is key.
And finally, discipline. The Lions capitalized on Wallaby penalties in the second half. As fatigue sets in, maintaining composure and discipline will be absolutely paramount to prevent another comeback. It's the 80-minute blueprint they need to nail.
So, Gavin, what's your final verdict on Joe Schmidt's performance this series? It's been a masterclass in adaptation, hasn't it?
Absolutely, Adrian. Despite the heartbreak, Schmidt's tactical gambit in Melbourne was brilliant. He brought an inferior Wallabies side to the brink of victory. The big lessons? It's all about that 80-minute consistency and, crucially, squad depth, which ultimately undid them.
Agreed. As we head to Sydney, the series might be decided. But for the Wallabies, it's a battle for pride, for momentum, and for the very future trajectory of Australian rugby. They've found an identity under Schmidt. Now they just need to sustain it. It's going to be fascinating. Thanks for joining us on this edition of Rugby Rundown, everyone. We'll catch you next time.